This is going to be one of those videos where I do a lot of talking. However, I will splice in footage of myself shooting so that there will be some stuff in there, shooting the stuff we talk about. So today I would like to start a new video series on training aids. Now, what are training aids and what are they for? Basically, training aids are anything you can use while shooting in order to save money or save time or help teach a new shooter, or if you are a new shooter yourself, shoot while saving money and saving time, etc. Basically, they're things that help us train without spending as much money on ammo or guns as some other ways of doing things. So why do you want to do this? And the first big one is to save money. Especially right now, but always, ammo is kind of expensive. And when I like to shoot the bigger bore, 8mm Mauser, 7.62 by 51, 7.62 by 54R, some of that ammo can get around and above 50 cents a round, sometimes 70 cents a round, and sometimes, in the case of something like 8mm Mauser, it's just kind of unavailable in certain locations. So if you have some, you may want to learn to shoot better with that rifle without actually using that ammo. Another reason is when you're training new shooters. Like I just said, I like the bigger calibers, and if somebody has never shot a gun before, giving them something like 8mm or 7.62 by 54R can be loud and has a hard kick, and it can be intimidating. So having some smaller calibers that are training aids can be very helpful for helping people like this grow more comfortable with shooting. Just as an example, my day job is that I am a minister with international students that come to the United States. When people come to the United States from other countries, oftentimes they want to shoot guns because that's a very American thing to do. And it's better if you can hand them something that's smaller or that doesn't kick as hard than to hand them something that is big and beefy like what I own the most. Also, training aids can just be fun. Even if you're not necessarily growing any skills, it can be fun to shoot something and have almost no recoil. To hold it all the way out here, a giant rifle, and not feel anything when you pull the trigger. It can just be kind of fun to screw around and play with things that are a little bit different than what you're used to. After that, it comes to easiness. It's easy to shoot those things more. And that means a few different things. One example is that you can take more ammo with you. This is a brick of 22 long rifle, and it is 500 rounds. 500 rounds of 8mm Mauser fills an ammo can about this big. So you can take several thousands of rounds of 22 long rifle in a fraction of the spaces you can take 223 or 5.56 or 7.62 by 54R or 7.62 by 39, etc. This is really easy to take with you. You can also shoot more. Because I shoot a lot of those bigger calibers, normally I'll try and shoot my videos a lot on one day. So if I shoot 5 or 6 of my 8mm Mauser review videos, my shoulder's getting sore by the end because I shot, 70, 80 rounds of 8mm Mauser, and that can be pretty beefy, especially if I'm shooting some of those prone where it's hitting a different part of my shoulder. So throughout this series, we're going to take a look at different training aids and talk about the pros and cons, but also the advancements and the limitations of certain training aids. So let's start first today with dedicated 22s. Now I have 2 here in front of me. This is my most recent gun show find. It's a rear peep sight and then a front post, and it is single shot. So you open the bolt, put one round in, close it, pull back the striker, and then pull the trigger. And I want to be clear, I did clear all of these firearms before I started filming. Then we have this. This is my first 22 I ever got. It is a Savage 64, has a scope on it. It takes 10 round detachable box magazines, and it's a pretty good rifle as well. So let's go through the pros and cons of these. The first thing is these are dirt cheap. If you saw my gun show video, this rifle cost me $50. Now, it was broken and did need some work to get it functioning, but for $50, I have a rifle that has a peep sight that I can use fairly easily, and it honestly works really well when I take it out to the range. And also, I'd like to add that a rifle like this, I believe these are only like $150. My local Walmart had this rifle, but with iron sights instead of the scope, and it was, I think, $94. So at that price point, you can't really get guns much cheaper than that. And on top of the rifles themselves being cheap, ammo is cheap. Pre-COVID, a box like this of 500 rounds could sometimes be on sale for like $35. And even at the high end, their normal price, they were around $50. So you're getting 500 rounds of ammo for $50 and that is a very good deal. You could take this out, you could shoot it all day. It would be a great way to save money while you're shooting. The second pro is that there are plenty of rifles, pistols, and ammo in this category. So rifles and pistols we'll go over first. I can't say exactly how long 22 long rifle has been in use, but I believe it dates all the way back even to the 1800s. And a lot of these rifles, like the one I have, can shoot 22 long rifle, 22 long, and 22 short. Sometimes you even have guns that can shoot 22 Magnum as well, although this rifle cannot. So basically what that means is that you can get a rifle or a pistol that will suit your training needs. You might have to look around for it, but you can find it. One of the reasons I picked up this gun was because I needed a gun with iron sights that I could train with easier. And it just so happened that it was a peep sight. Now, I would have been okay with a notch and post because I just want to learn iron sights generally better, but a peep sight is really useful, and here's why. I knew for a while I wanted to get an AR, so I know I don't have a rear sight on this yet, but that's because it hasn't arrived yet. But what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put a carry handle on the back and then probably a Picatinny rail carry handle mount so that I can have like a red dot sight or a scope attached to this as well. Most, if not all, AR-15 sights are peep sights rather than like notch and post sights. And so I can get this rifle that matches my training needs so that I can learn how to use peep sights better because I have very little range time behind peep sights. If you want to learn how to shoot a single action revolver faster, you can find single action revolvers in 22 long rifle. If you want to learn how to shoot better with a scope, you can find scoped 22s. You can find iron sighted 22s. You can find 22s with different styles of iron sights. Really, when it comes to 22 long rifle, just about everything is out there for guns. And there's also a lot of variety in ammo. You can find 22 tracers. You can find 22 ammo that's specifically meant for certain targets. You can find it that's all lead or copper plated hollow point. There's just a wide variety of ammo that you can find in 22 long rifle to suit a variety of different needs. And that's the next thing I'd like to touch on is that there are many uses for a 22 rifle or a 22 pistol. Well, we're talking specifically about training aids. If you're looking to get just one more thing and you have $200 to spend on that, you can do great with a 22 because with a 22 you can shoot like squirrels and small birds and pests and rodents and all of those types of things. So it enables you to get certain jobs done as well as just being a useful training aid. Also, 22 produces little noise and little felt recoil. And we touched on that with 22s, they're good for training people who are not familiar with firearms. And that is a big bonus of rifles like this one. It is super easy to use. Okay, so I can tell somebody, all right, pull back the bolt. Okay, put one round into the barrel. Close it, pull back the cocking knob, and then look through the sights. You want the front to be in the center of the circle. Then whenever you're ready to shoot, pull the trigger. Super easy to do. They're going to feel almost no recoil. It's relatively quiet. You should still wear ear protection, but it's relatively quiet, so it won't be incredibly scary for new shooters or anything like that. I'd also like to touch on accuracy. Some of the training aids that we might talk about are not very accurate. Some of them like caliber conversions or caliber inserts to fire a pistol round in a rifle or something like that. Those can be relatively imprecise, and because of that, accuracy can be all over the place. However, with 22s, you will have no problem hitting targets accurately as well because it's a dedicated rifle that's meant to do this. So because it is a dedicated rifle that's meant to do something, you can be pretty accurate with it. With this rifle, and I am by no means a great shot, and I was not using the best ammo, I was shooting about a 2-inch group at 50 yards, and you could probably do much better than that with a better shooter, a better rifle, and better ammo. Next, let's talk about some of the cons with 22s. The first big thing is that they are not always comparable. So, like I said, that rifle will help me train with my AR in 223 and 5.56. So let's say I want to practice like reloading drills. Well, I can't do that with that rifle, and the other rifle that is magazine loaded, the magazines are about this big, so I can't really do that. So I can't practice doing something like this, dropping magazine, grabbing a new magazine out of a pouch, putting it in, slapping the release, and then going to town. However, also they're not very comparable in recoil. Although they can help me with things like precision, trigger control, sight alignment, stuff like that, they can't help me with things like follow-up shots or learning this particular trigger and safety and other features of this particular rifle. Although there are 22s that look and act a lot like this, since we're talking specifically about cost savings, those rifles tend to cost a little bit more than some like these two. And maybe we'll do a video on those separately someday, but for right now, we're just sticking to rifles that look and act a little bit more like these ones. Secondly, these rifles can be a little bit of a larger leap to larger caliber guns. So if you've shot 22 plenty and then I give you a, I don't know, like my Mauser, and I say, all right, this is gonna kick more. They don't quite know what to expect. They don't quite know how much it's going to kick more. And again, that can be kind of terrifying. It can, if you're not holding a Mauser right, it can bruise your shoulder in one shot. So it definitely takes some time to adjust from this to something big like that. Maybe something like the AR in between that's, shooting 223 so that you can see like, okay, this is going to be louder, it's going to recoil more. Then you can adjust to that larger area quicker. We also have the issue of ammo reliability and ammo pickiness. Some of these rifles can be unreliable or picky with certain ammos. Yeah, certain ammos just don't feed reliably in this gun. And this might be one of them. That was why I wanted to test it out. With the single shot rifle, that's less of a concern. But for a long time, I thought this rifle was just really unreliable. I couldn't even get through a magazine without having one or maybe even two malfunctions. And a big part of that came down to the ammo I was using. Something by CCI, I can't remember exactly, but then I had another ammo by Federal, and that one didn't really work well either. But I have this Remington green box and the Thunderbolt stuff, and it actually cycles perfectly. I haven't had any problems since I've been using this ammo in this rifle. So you can have some problems with certain ammos with certain 22s. And that's just kind of one of those things you need to learn. Instead of buying a big brick of ammo right away, if you have something like this, start with a few smaller boxes and make sure that they run, and then you can switch to different stuff. One more problem that can come in is that many 22 rifles, especially some in the more budget category, are meant for children. And this leads to two problems. The first is comfort and length of pull and things like that. So if I was handed a rifle that was meant for a child and the stock only went out to maybe here, I would have a hard time holding it and a hard time firing it. And it would be hard to teach me things on that rifle because it was so small. For other people, that may not be a concern, but I'm 6 feet tall and there are other people much taller than me. So for certain people, that can cause problems. The other part of that is that rifles that are meant for children don't look cool. And that might not seem like a big thing to you. However, again, like I said, I work with people from other countries, and when they come to America, sometimes they want to shoot guns. Sometimes they don't. But if they want to shoot guns and I hand them a pink 22 where the stock is this long and say, all right, have fun. Okay, let's take a picture so you can post it on Facebook. They're not going to want to do that. Now, if I start them off with something like this, it's, doable. They're still shooting a gun. It just looks like an older gun. It looks like a hunting rifle. And then if I hand them something bigger, maybe they're ready for that. So again, that's not necessarily a huge problem, but it is definitely something to be aware of compared to who you're working with. And that can also be a positive if you are trying to train children. That's not my needs, but maybe for your needs, that suits better. Finally, the last big con is that, believe it or not, there are cheaper options out there. And those are some of the things that we will be covering throughout this series. One of them is on its way getting shipped to me, and the other one is in my ammo can that I am going to test next time I'm out the range and shoot. We're going to be testing things like accuracy, as well as just testing things like velocity, because this ammo is crazy cool. So whereas this rifle cost me $50, one of the training aids I bought cost me $20, and I really can't wait to take that out. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it has been helpful to you. If there is anything that I missed, any pros to these 22s that I didn't mention, or any cons that I didn't mention, please leave those in the comments below. Also, let me know some of the training aids that you would like to see. Some of them I may already have or be planning on, and some of them I might not be. So I hope this can help you train the next generation of shooters, and I'll see you guys in my next video 2 weeks from now. Goodbye.